Joining me are Yasser El-Sayed of the Syrian American Council of San Diego and Michael Provence, Associate Professor of Middle Eastern History at UC San Diego. Professor Provence, let's start with you. The Syrian Uprising has just reached its second-year anniversary. Similar uprisings in other countries like Tunisia, Egypt, and Libya were successful in a far shorter period. What's different about Syria?
Well, what's different about Syria is that the Syrian government started with a great amount of overconfidence and claimed that it wouldn't happen in Syria. And then when it did happen in Syria, they responded, I think, in a really furious way with weapons almost immediately. And they dug in, and they resolved to dig in. And defend the regime and their privileges and the situation with anything necessary, and they escalated over the. So we were here a year or so ago, and they weren't using airplanes, and now they have been, and missiles and things like this. So the determination of the government is different, and dictators learn also, and they have made a choice to not give in at all.
Yeah, so I think what's shocked the world is that the Syrian government has been willing to use warplanes, willing to bomb its own citizens.
With Scud missiles even. I mean, it's a major shock for our entire even region, I would say, that because all these revolutions that you mentioned, they always use like small weapons, probably medium-sized, but warplanes, Scud missiles, continuous helicopters with crude bombs. It was an amazing amount of shock for everyone. Of course, with that, 70,000 or more people died. That's registered. 200,000 missing.
So given that, President Obama still has refused to send lethal aid to Syria. Now we have a senior Democrat on the House Foreign Relations Committee who's calling on the U.S. to arm these rebels. Can the uprising be won without arming rebels from the outside?
From the outside, so let's be specific. We're talking about the USA. I don't think the rebels inside or the revolutionary inside would need anything from the United States like weapons, or except that we need to lift the embargo. USA have embargo on the Syrian Free Army to get weapons from Turkey or Saudi or whatever, or even buy it themselves. There's an embargo, serious, that's followed by all the countries. It's supposed to be on everybody, but Russia and Iran is not following it. So the United States should just leave the embargo, and I think Syrians can solve their problem by themselves.
Michael, there is talk of the United States using drones to collect intelligence on al-Qaeda's presence in Syria. How worried should the U.S. be about this group's presence there?
Well, considering that there's no American soldiers in Iraq, and there's no American soldiers anywhere around Syria, I don't know why it's the concern of the United States at all. And I think that it's a worrisome sign. I mean, no one really knows who these people are. The track record of the United States and its intelligence agencies to determine what's going on in various Middle Eastern countries is miserable. And so I think that it's really very worrisome that the government is tracking the people who are fighting against the Syrian government as opposed to trying to end the flow of weapons from Russia and from Iran to try to damp down the violence that's taking place here. So we're looking at it from a purely military standpoint, as usual, as the United States always does in the Middle East, and this is a fundamentally flawed, on the 10th year anniversary of the Iraq War, a fundamentally flawed approach in every way.
Yeah, so you have relatives in Syria. Sure. What are they telling you about daily life there?
Well, it's just challenge. There's no electricity, there's no water, there's no medical supplies, there's no bread. The bread is part of, it's like every Middle Eastern cuisine. Everybody who eats bread is a must-have every day. There's no bread. There's people cannot move freely. There's always checkpoints that's giving people are actually not leaving the house because of the checkpoints. It's a miserable life. It's like sitting in a jail within a jail.
And what can people here in San Diego and elsewhere in the United States do to help them? I know that aid is down in terms of providing food, blankets, and medicines. 1,100,000 refugees in surrounding countries. 4 million refugees internally.
anything will help. I mean, yes.
We've got to close it there. Yasser, thank you so much. Michael, thank you so much for coming in today.